Hello, Facebook. How are you? Welcome to tonight's Sex Ed Online with Dr. O. So, we are going to be talking about our topic tonight, which is Viva la Vagina. Yes, tonight's topic is Viva la Vagina. So, why are we talking about the vagina? Empowerment of the pussy. Yes. So, there is a striking omission of female sexuality from public conversation. And so, tonight we are raging against the storm of silence and erasure, and we are going to create a dialogue that allows us to fight against misinformation, confusion, and negative attitudes about sex and sexuality for women. And our way of doing that is we're going to empower the pussy tonight. Yes. This information often, leaving this information out often prohibits women and girls from becoming sexually healthy, and having accurate information about our bodies helps us to have pleasure. And this is imperative for our holistic health and our well-being as adults and women, and for healthy girls as well. So let's get into the vagina. So, what is the vagina, right? The vagina is a tube that connects your vulva with your cervix and your uterus. It's what babies and menstrual blood leave the body through. Your vagina is really a stretchy, soft, piece of flesh that expands when you feel turned on, basically. I mean, it's the opening that connects your uterus to the outside world. So your vagina is a very important part of your body. I want to make a note to say that the vagina is only one part of the vulva, and a lot of times people say vagina when they really mean the vulva. And the vulva is a lot more than just the vagina. So, just for clarity's sakes, the vagina is part of the vulva, and sometimes people use those two words interchangeably. The vulva has a lot of parts, and so we're going to go in and make sure that folks understand the parts of their body. So the vulva is the whole female genital package. It's your labia, clitoris, vaginal opening, and the opening of the urethra. That's the hole that you pee out of. So make a note of this. You don't pee and have sex in the same place. Okay, folks? Keep in mind that no two vulva look exactly the same, but they have basically the same parts. Okay? All right. So let's break this thing down, folks. The labia, or the lips, are folds of skin around your vaginal opening. So the labia majora, or your outer lips, are usually fleshy and covered with pubic hair. The labia minora, or your inner lips, are inside your outer lips, and they begin at your clitoris and end under the opening of your vagina. So if you have a mirror and you've not looked at your vagina in a while, I encourage you to go in and take a look and make sure that you know each of these different parts so that you're familiar with your own body. Labia can be short or long, wrinkled or smooth. Often one lip is longer than the other. They also vary in color from pink to brownish. The color of your labia can change as you get older, and some people have larger outer lips than inner lips, and many have larger inner lips than outer lips. So both are very sensitive, and they both swell when you get turned on. But the bottom line is you should know the parts of your body, and you should be able to call them by the names that they are called. So pussy lips, that's what we're talking about. All right, moving on. Clitoris, pearl tongue, fun zone, our friend, the clitoris. The tip of the clitoris is located at the top of your vulva, where your inner lips meet. Everyone has a different size clitoris, folks. So, I mean, I don't want to get into categories and things of that nature, but just know that everybody's is different, but we all have them. Um, it can be about as small as a pea or about as big as a thumb. And the tip of the clitoris is covered by the clitoral hood. This is just the beginning of your clitoris, though. It extends inside your body, back and down on both sides of the vagina. This part, called the shaft and the crura, or roots and legs, is about 5 inches long. So your clitoris is not just that little piece of skin that you see outside. It goes all the way down, inside and out. So your clitoris is pretty long. You should explore it. Make sure you know what it does, how you like for it to be stimulated, all of those good things. Make sure that you're taking good care of yourself and wash your hands. That's very important because our vagina is pretty sensitive, and so we want to make sure that we give you good information. So when you touch yourself, make sure that you wash your hands, okay? Okay. Your clitoris is made of spongy tissue that becomes swollen when you're aroused or turned on. It has thousands of nerve endings and more than any other part of the human body. Did you know that, first of all, your clitoris has 1 gig, folks? It is for pleasure. So you keep that in mind as you are enjoying yourself. But did you know that there is 8,000 nerve endings in your clitoris? And it's responsible for giving you sexual pleasure. So you should respect the clit. I'm just saying. Respect it. Put some respect on it. The other part of the vulva is the opening of the urethra. The urethral opening is the tiny hole that you pee out of. It's located just below your clitoris. And again, I will repeat, this is not the same hole that you have sex in, okay? Keep this in mind, folks. I hear people use these things interchangeably, and we are all about educating and making sure that folks know their body parts, all right? And the opening of the vagina. The vaginal opening is right below the urethral opening. That's why people get it confused. They're very close, but they're not the same place. It's where your menstrual blood leaves your body. It's where babies are born through your vaginal opening. And a variety of things can go inside your vagina or your vaginal opening. Things like fingers, penises, sex toys, tampons, tongues, menstrual cups, etc. There are many things that can be placed into the vagina. Again, make sure that they're clean. Wash them before you use them. Now, I want to do a little bit of myth busting because the vagina gets a bad rap, folks. There's many people who put narrative out there about the vagina not being pretty, about the vagina having a bad smell. I just want us to clear up once and for all that the vagina is a self-cleaning organ, right? You don't need to use these different sprays, use these different douches, things like that. The vagina is self-cleaning, all right? If your body has a odor that is not pleasant, that probably or could be a sign that there is another problem that is going on. It should not be a foul odor. However, your vagina does not have to smell like cucumber melon, tranquil breezes, and all of these other things. So please do not put all of these different agents into your vagina, trying to make your vagina smell like flowers and things like that. I also hate to break it to some folks, but there's no scientific evidence that says putting fruit, candy, or any of these other objects into the vagina will change the smell or taste of the vagina, sorry guys, basically you're setting yourself up for a bad yeast infection. So I suggest that good old fashioned soap and water and the bathtub be used, or shower be used, to deal with any type of odors that are happening in the vaginal area. Or, like I said, if it is a strong foul odor, then you might need to seek medical attention because you may have something else going on. But like I said, soap and water works just fine. Douching is not recommended because it strips away your vagina's natural cleaning agent, and that leaves you open to infection. So just so we are all clear about what we're doing with the cleaning, and what's a myth and what's a fact. Bottom line, you don't need to do all those things. Just take you a good old fashioned bath and keep it moving. Items can be lost inside of the vagina. Again, another myth. There are many things that can be placed into the vagina. If something is placed in the vagina, you simply take your index finger or your first two fingers, reach into the vagina, and just pull it on out. I mean, at the end of the day, folks, it is not an endless journey. There is a stopping point. Thank you to those of you who want to disprove that, but at the end of the day, that is a myth. There's a stopping point. Things can go in and they can be removed. I see some of y'all waving to me. Hey, how are you? How are you? Again, we're doing some myth busting here and talking about our vagina. Some fun facts about the vagina. How about that? So there's a question here that asks, is the clitoris and the penis made of the same kind of tissue? That's something someone asked me. Is that true or is that false? That is true. Both the penis and the clitoris are made of erectile tissue that fills with blood when you're aroused. So this causes the clitoris to become erect during sexual arousal and tingly. All right? So this is just pleasurable sensation. Same thing happens to women that happens to folks who have penises. And at the end of the day, it's wonderful. Get to know your body. Get to know your clitoris. Another question that I was asked. When are women most likely to desire sex or to feel aroused? Well, did a little research and homework, and women are most likely to feel aroused when they're ovulating. All right? Many women feel more sexual desire around ovulation when levels of testosterone or hormones are at their peak. So there's also a statistic here that says 2/3 of middle-aged women do not experience any decline in their libido, and that 40% complain that they're not receiving enough sex. So there's lots of information out there about arousal, but the question that was asked was, when is the peak? And so for a lot of women, that is during ovulation. Obviously, that may change some as women continue to age and they go through perimenopause or menopause. But again, different strokes, different folks, different bodies. Some folks have no decline in their libido even after their menstrual cycle stops. So, just keep those questions coming. Like I said, the clitoris has 1 gig, and that is stimulation and excitement. Let me see. I've been collecting questions over the week. So, what percentage of women have an orgasm regularly through vaginal penetration? This was interesting to look into because there's a lot of different numbers out there. However, on average, about 30% of folks orgasm by way of vaginal penetration. All right? There is no right way to have an orgasm. I for one am, I'm all for orgasms. I think like we should all strive to have more of them. I'm just saying. At the end of the day, many women require other sexual behaviors besides penetration to achieve orgasm. So for those of us who are in a deficit, I suggest that we experiment a little bit more so we can figure out some of those other ways. All right, moving on. Moving on. I'm not going to hold y'all too long tonight. Somebody asked me what was the benefit of doing Kegel exercises, and that's when you're seated and you contract and release your your muscles in your pelvic area. Kegels, and they asked what was the benefit of doing those exercises, and the benefits are as follows. They strengthen the muscles in your pelvic area. All right, they help to maintain bladder control. They can produce orgasm. So, going back to my previous question, if you're looking for ways to get off, try those Kegels. I'm just saying. They help women prepare for childbirth and things of that nature. So basically, what you want to do is, somebody's sending me, hey, Kim. I know that's right. Amen, 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 and amen again. All right. So you want to explore those Kegels and make sure that if you're gonna do Kegel exercises, that you kind of look into what is the purpose of them, how to properly do them, and understand that there are some benefits to doing them. One of them being orgasm. Yay! I'm all about getting off, y'all. We should do more of it. Somebody asked, when was the vibrator invented? Okay, so hold on, I'm checking my notes here. The vibrator was invented in 1880. Joseph Granville developed the Granville hammer in the early 1880s as a therapeutic means to administer vibration to treat medical conditions. The development of the electric vibrator became helpful for clinicians to provide pelvic massage to treat women diagnosed with hysteria or sexual deprivation. Massagers were widely advertised in needlework magazines and appliance catalogs up until the 1930s. And then laws controlling sex toys were enacted in the 1950s. Those damn politicians controlling stuff. But the vibrator resurfaced in the 1960s as women began to embrace their sexual freedom and independence. In a 2009 survey, researchers found that approximately 52% of women reported using a vibrator. And I would venture to say that in 2018, that their number is probably even higher. All right. Let's keep on going. If you have questions, those of you who are watching on the live, feel free to type your questions in. I'm trying to be as timely as possible with answers, but these are just questions that folks have sent in, or commonly asked questions as I was researching for our class tonight. One of the other questions that are interesting factoids that I found was, is there another body part that is self-cleaning? Well, we already talked about the vagina being a self-cleaning organ, but did you know that the eye was a self-cleaning organ as well? Right. So our tears clean our eyes, and our vaginal discharge cleans our vagina. All right. Hakeem, I don't know what's going on, but thank you for your comments. I'm sorry, I can't translate. Thank you for your questions, though, or your comments. I'm not sure exactly what They are, but I appreciate your interaction. All right. Oh, the length and the width of the vagina expand during sexual arousal. We already talked about that, but I'll restate. Yes, the length of the vagina does expand during sexual arousal by about 4 to 5 inches. So, um, as I said, the clitoris is made of erectile tissue, and so when the body is aroused, or when a person is aroused, though that tissue expands and is filled with blood, and nice sensations are created. Um, I also want to make sure to say that we want to make sure that we are always aware of situations where we may need to get intervention from another professional. And so I'll touch just briefly on STIs, just because I want to make sure that we understand that there could be some, there could be some things that we see with the vagina that could be a sign of trouble. And so I don't want to skip over that information without, without covering it. So one of the comments that was made is around vaginal itch. Or every time I get itchy in my vagina area, does that mean that I have a yeast infection? So every single symptom is not necessarily, we don't create fear. Every symptom is not a sign of a STI or STD. However, it's important to know that vaginal itching could be related to hormonal changes, could be related to it could be related to fabrics, or it could be related to detergents, allergens, and things like that. Or it definitely could be related to something that is sexually transmitted. And so it's important to keep an eye towards that, making sure that you have a good understanding of what a healthy vagina is. And so that's why it's important for you to be in tune with your own body, to make sure that you know what your vagina is like when it's healthy, so that when there is something going on, you are able to recognize it better. Okay, but I just don't want to spread fear and make make folks start thinking every time something happens that it's an STI or STD. It can be. However, there are some other things that can cause itching. And so just for the individual who asked that question, make sure that you have a good understanding of what's going on with your body when it's healthy, so that you can better recognize when there's an issue. And also, you want to make sure that you keep an eye towards changes in your diet, changes in products that you use, things of that nature, so that you can kind of keep a good eye on that. Also, someone asked the question around discharge. So discharge is normal from the vagina. As I said, discharge is our body's own natural way of cleansing itself. However, I'll mention again, if it is a smell to the discharge, or it should be clear and not have any type of color to it, and things like that. If it's a yellow color, or a green or brown color, then you want to speak to your doctor and make sure that there's not a problem. But just discharge in and of itself is not necessarily a sign of a problem. Now, if a person is perimenopausal or experiencing, like, certain medications may make you dry, certain things that you certain things that you're ingesting into your body may change different functions within your body, but just having a discharge in and of itself is not necessarily a sign that there's a problem. However, you should again know what discharge looks like when it's a healthy vagina, if that makes sense. And if you are taking medication or antihistamines, things like that, that could change the amount of discharge that you see. But again, know your body when your body is at its most healthy state, so that if there is a change or if there is an issue, you can recognize it a little bit easier. Somebody said, uh, okay, can you get drunk using an alcohol soaked tampon? All right. Um, I think that, first of all, again, using um, a tampon that is soaked in alcohol is probably not going to get a person intoxicated. I mean, there is exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, the amount of alcohol that will be absorbed in a tampon is probably not going to be enough alcohol um, to make a person experience any type of intoxication. If anything, it's probably going to burn like hell. So, my suggestion to you is don't put things into your vagina that are not appropriate. You know, liquor in your vagina, folks. Come on, I'm just saying. Probably not the best use of a tampon, but again, I don't think that you're gonna get intoxicated by doing it. I think that's just something that folks it's a myth. It's something that folks say, but there's no facts behind it. So I suggest that you spare yourself the discomfort of putting an alcohol soaked tampon into your vagina and take a shot, drink your liquor. It's probably best to ingest it, you know, through just drinking. And I mean, we are not promoting excessive drinking. I don't want y'all to go back out here and say you were told on the sex ed online to get drunk. That's not at all what was said. However, if you're going to try to have a cocktail, the best way to have it is to drink it, not to soak your tampon in the alcohol and insert it into your vagina, because it's probably just going to create a lot of discomfort. But thank you to the individual who submitted this question. Someone asked, is there something wrong with you if you don't have orgasms? There's a lot of people that don't experience orgasms, especially, as I said earlier, from vaginal intercourse. Just in and of itself. So I would say that you explore different activities that give you pleasure, that bring you pleasure, so that you know what you like, because not every person responds to the same thing. Some people need different things, other folks need other things. So I mean, I think it's important for each individual to know what their body responds to and what they enjoy, and to take it from there. I don't think that there is a prescription, this plus this equals an orgasm. So I don't think there's any prescription for how to reach an orgasm. I think that definitely we want to break down the myth of there being something wrong with an individual. Now, I'm not discounting that somebody might not have some type of medical situation going on, or some type of something going on within their body that may prohibit their sensitivity, or there may be some kind of block that the person is experiencing. It could be trauma, it could be anything like that that may block a person from fully experiencing pleasure. So I think you should explore the different things that are going on within your life and within your body, and that will help you to navigate reaching an orgasm. Again, there is no substitute for learning your body and knowing what it is that brings you pleasure. Like, that's a good place to start. And if there is any type of trauma that you may have experienced, whether it be physical trauma or mental trauma, do what you need to do. Get the assistance that you need to get so that you can break down those different barriers and have a healthy sex life. Hakeem, I see you posting things. I have no idea what your questions or comments are because I cannot translate them. But I do thank you for being interactive with us tonight. Okay, someone asked, what is the hymen? The hymen is it's a thin membrane of skin that covers the entrance of the vagina. It is intact when an individual has not, has not experienced sexual penetration, and so, and that thin membrane breaks when a person does experience their first sexual penetration. And so that is what the hymen is. That's what it is. Sorry, I'm sorry, that's what it is. That's the answer to that question. The presence or absence of the hymen does not indicate virginity, and this was something that I read on the American, ACOG, the gynecologist professional group. But basically, the absence or presence, some people can be born without a hymen. So this idea that the hymen being broken is an automatic indicator that a person has had sexual intercourse, they can be faulty, because there are instances where a person can be born without a hymen. So I just want to, again, myth busting, and I thank the individual who submitted this question. And I didn't know that, so I learned something myself. Thank you again, Hakeem. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I see your attempts to communicate with me. However, don't have the ability to translate your questions into English, and so unfortunately, at this particular moment in time, I'm not able to respond, because I'm not ignoring you. I just can't translate your questions into English. So I do apologize for that. But I would again like to acknowledge, thank you so much for your interaction. So just for our review, just want to review with us, because we're getting close to the end of our half hour moment. And I don't see any questions here that anybody has. Although you're always welcome to submit any questions that you have, or any topic that you would like for me to cover on the Adult Sex Ed Online. You can always submit those to me via email at Orisha@SisterReach, and Orisha is spelled ORISHA, at sisterreach.org. You can always submit your questions in between our online sessions. But I do want to just review Viva la Vagina for us to make sure that for those who came in later, that you don't miss anything. So tonight we talked about the vagina, and we talked about the importance of why we're talking about the vagina, and that is to rage against the silence, the erasure of dialogue about the vagina, to go against misinformation, confusion, and negative attitudes about sex, sexuality for women, and things that prohibit women and girls from becoming healthy sexual beings. We want to make sure that folks have accurate information about their bodies. So we took a little bit of time to go over what the vagina is, and we talked about that the vagina is the tube that connects your vulva and your cervix and your uterus. It's where babies come from, basically, or how babies leave our body. When we have a vaginal birth, that is. It's stretchy, soft flesh that expands when a person is aroused, and basically that our vagina is a part of the vulva, which is what a lot of people are really referring to when they talk about the vagina. The vaginal opening is a part of the vulva, but the vulva is the whole female genital package, and those parts include the labia, both the labia minora and the labia majora, in the clitoris, the vaginal opening, and the urethral opening. Just a little distinction between the vaginal opening, that's where menstrual blood comes out, that's where we have vaginal penetration or we have sex, and the urethral opening is where we urinate. So that's where you pee. Those two holes are not the same. Labia, lips of the vagina or folds of skin around the vaginal opening, and then the clitoris, which is our nerve center for sexual pleasure, located at the top of the vulva, where our inner lips meet, and can be different sizes, can be different colors. It's about 5 inches long, and it's spongy tissue that becomes swollen when you're aroused. Urethral opening, tiny hole that you pee out of, and it's located just below your clitoris. And the vaginal opening is right below your urethral opening, and it's where your menstrual blood leaves your body. It's a place where things can be inserted and bring us, can do different functions or can bring us lots of pleasure. We talked about some myths. The vagina is self-cleaning. You don't need to, douching is not recommended. You don't need to use sprays and oils and things like that in the vagina, because that changes our body's natural makeup and leaves us open to infections. Tampons and other objects cannot get lost in our body. We simply need to use our fingers, reach in, pull them back out. We talked a lot about some different questions that different folks asked, and I will allow you all to listen to the recording to get the answers to hear the questions and get the answers to those questions. Remember, you can always submit your questions in between our Sex Ed online sessions. We thank you so much for tuning in, and you have a great night.